Okay, let's start today's video with this Magene power meter that I recently got. This is a Magene P505, which is for the Shimano one. I know they have another one for SRAM, I believe. And this is sponsored to me by Magene Singapore. And I posted an Instagram story mentioning how my crank came loose. So a bit of backstory. 2 days ago I was riding and I realized that my chain line was hitting against my front derailleur, so I thought it was an issue with the shifting or the alignment of the front derailleur. But after inspection, I realized that it didn't make sense that the front derailleur adjustment on the E-Tube app was like a plus 12, which is very far out. So can't be the front derailleur issue. And then I realized that the crank arm was loose. So on the other side, you could see it moving left and right. Very strange. And I posted this on my Instagram story and apparently it attracted attention of a lot of you. And this was also in a lot of forums mentioning how this Magene power meter came loose. After some of you have DM'd me, you guys said there were some solutions. So one of the solutions was to add Loctite onto the bolts. And the other one, interestingly, is to change the preload cap on the non-drive side, which I'll show you guys on the other side. Change the preload cap to the Shimano one. I don't know how that solves the problem, but apparently some of you said that changing the preload cap to the Shimano, original Shimano preload cap, or even a third-party one works. But I think the biggest thing that most people don't know, or how you could actually solve this, because it's like a Shimano system, which I'll demonstrate in a bit, is the way you tighten it plays a very big part into torquing the whole crank arm and the spindle, ensuring that it doesn't move out. So Magene, again, I have to thank the local Magene Ride in Style, Vincent, for rectifying this and explaining it to me how it worked. So thank you, Vincent, if you're watching this, for explaining it to me, and also to all of you who responded to my Instagram story. I think it really helped. And the purpose of today's video is to share with you those who are facing this issue. I think there's not many videos out there demonstrating how you could actually solve this. So yeah, I'll show you how to assemble this the right way. Okay, one thing to note, if you have the Magene, if you still have the Magene box, it's very important to, strangely enough, if you don't know, there's a manual in here, which I would recommend all of you to please keep this, because the manual online is not updated. Apparently they had multiple versions of this Magene power meter to solve the problem of the crank arms coming loose. So the product manual on the website is not the latest one. Let's just go back to basics and just look at the diagram and see how it's meant to be installed. If you work on your bike a lot, you know that the Shimano crank arms is a very simple one. There's just the spindle, and then there's this Shimano proprietary preload cap. But what makes the biggest difference for Magene is not the way, like how you would install a Shimano crank arm. So which I'll demonstrate later. The essential part here is here at step number 5. There is actually a O-ring that goes onto the preload cap, and that O-ring, every time you tighten and loosen, apparently it breaks, and you need to change this out. And in the box, Magene's box, out of the box there, they give you 3 O-ring spares. So I just think it's a bit of a flaw in the design. Why it's designed this way? You need to have that O-ring and then you have to get it replaced. I just think it's just bad design. So step 1 is, once you insert the spindle here, the spindle on the drive side, you put in the crank arm, tighten the preload first to 1 to 1.5 Newton meter. That's standard for Shimano also. Then you tighten the bolt, the bigger bolt here on the crank arm, up to 12 to 14 Newton meters. And then the tricky part, which I think a lot of people are missing, is on the normal Shimano, that's where the process ends. But on the Magene, you need to re-tighten the preload cap one more time, up to 10 to 12 Newton meters. So I think that's the bigger mistake that a lot of people omit, because I think even myself, I made that mistake. I thought once I'm done with this, I'm done. And the next step is then you need another 6mm hex key to tighten it again to 10 to 12 Newton meters. So it's quite ridiculous. You need to do it twice, once on the preload cap, and there's another bolt in there. So let's do it on the bike. Okay, so we've got this already properly torqued out, but I'm just, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to take this out and redo it again. So the key difference between a Shimano crank arm here, the Shimano crank arm, if I believe last time when I had the Ultegra R8000, is you had 2 bolts, one on each side. This one only has 1, so you got to make sure that this is right. This is 5mm Allen key. You remove this bolt, and then you get a bigger one. One thing I like about this preload cap from Magene is that it uses a hex key. If you use a Shimano one, you know that it's a proprietary kind of piece that you need to use to remove the preload cap. Okay, so if you see, once you remove this, as my camera focusing, there is that rubber seal here, which apparently you need to change. I don't know why you need to change it. To me, it looks fine. What Magene told me is that it usually tends to break and you need to replace it. But in this instance, it looks fine. I'm not going to replace it. I think it's okay. So assuming you've just got your new Magene power meter, so for demonstration's sake, I'm going to take all this out. What you'll do is you install the drive side, get it through here, and then you've got this spacer here. Okay, so I'm going to put it in, and then install the crank arm. Put the crank arm back. So here's where the manual comes in, right? You put this in, you put the preload cap back in. And so step 1, according to their manual, torque this up to 1 to 1.5 Newton meters. So I guess the purpose of doing this is to push the crank arm into place and make sure there's no space. Again, because I don't think my torque range can go up to, I mean, it can go 1.5, but I'm just going to do this hand tight. As long as I feel a bit of resistance, I believe it's already 2 millimeters. Okay, just like this. Make sure there's no play. And then I'm going to torque this up to 12 to 14 Newton meters. Got my torque wrench here, so we're going to torque it all the way up to 12 to 14. I'm going to go 14, man. I'm not going to risk it because I've got a race next weekend, so I can't afford for this spindle to be flying out mid-race. Okay, I've got it up here to 14, just a little bit more, 14 Newton meters. Okay, just one more time, make sure it's not moving. Right. Oh, this is really tight, 12 to 14. Okay, 14 Newton meters. And then, now is to use a 10mm hex key and torque this up. So again, most people would then just leave it as is and go riding. You know, the Shimano, I believe that's the correct step, but this one, you need to torque it up one more time. So we're going to torque it up, the outer hex key first, up to 12. Oh my god, how do I do this? Probably be easier if the bike's on the ground. Okay, 12 to 14 Newton meters. And then it doesn't end there. You take a 6mm hex key and repeat the step. Oh, see, it goes in again. I think this is the part that I missed out, and I believe everyone missed out. 12 to Newton. There we go. So, let me see if my camera can even pick up. There's another bolt. There's another hex key in there. Can you see it? That one needs to go up to 10 to 12. I'm doing it up to 14. Apparently, their recommendation is only 10 to 12. I'm doing it up to 14. So by doing this, it should not come loose. So guys, if you follow the manual, again, follow the manual provided in the box. Don't follow the one that's on their website. I don't know why their website is not updated. The fact that they can print this but just not upload the file seems quite ridiculous to me. So yes, this is the way. Some of you again said to use Loctite. I generally do not believe in adding in external grease and things like that, like Loctite. If you have to do it, I believe there's already a compliance issue with the frame or the bolt or whatever part. So I try to resolve it based on their specification. So this should work. I'm going to give it a try later. I'm going to go for a ride. I'll put in the comments later if I find that it comes off, but it should work now. Comment below and share this with your friends if they're having issues with this coming loose. I think I'm the only one showing this. And again, I would like to thank Magene, Vincent for explaining it to me, and to all of you who reached out as well. So yes, this is very different from the Shimano system, and yeah, always read the manual, guys. And hope this clarifies. And thanks for watching. Comment in the below if you guys think that this works or if you have faced similar issues. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.